Hello and welcome to TV News and Inside Look. This documentary is designed to take you behind the scenes of this amazing business, to gain insightful information from professionals who have worked in this industry from 1 to 60 years. In total, the journalists you'll meet have over 300 years of experience and are ready to reveal their secrets to you. Now remember, each of them started where you are right now. So listen carefully, take notes. This is TV News and Inside Look.
Steve Fisher's Aztecs now know who is standing between them and a trip to Madison Square Garden. St. Mary's
Paul Rudy is the sports anchor and sports director at KUSI TV in San Diego, California. In the past 10 years, he's become one of the most recognizable sportscasters in the city.
I go by what I'm interested in. I figure I'm kind of like the Joe. I mean, I'm just your average. I don't live and die sports. I like the funny stuff in it. I like the life lessons in it. So I like to go with the stuff that interests me. To me, it's sports is a break from the hardcore reality that we're all, life is basically crushing down on us. Sports is that 3 minutes where it doesn't matter. What I offer is a light version of the day's sporting events. Sports Light, brought to you by, less Philly.
A.J. Smith will have 2 additional.
It seems to work. I think I'm kind of got a finger on the pulse of the average sports fan, not the hardcore one. Hardcore sports people will never like what I do. But you know what? What I've learned is the numbers game, and there's a gazillion more take it or leave it type sports people than there are, life and death, got to know the batting average against left-handed pitching at night on AstroTurf people. But I have lasted 24 years, so I must not be too far off the mark.
Paul also produces the very successful high school football show called Prep Pigskin Report.
Claremont, first quarter, Stephen Akoti.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Woo! 10 flips for 10 years of PPR.
All right, welcome back to the Prep Pigskin Report. The show will get highlight intensive from here to the.
You couldn't do this show at NBC. You're not going to preempt David Letterman. I'm in the perfect place for what I want to do. We have creative license. We have owners who believe in local coverage. I got the best job in sports that I know of in California.
To keep this great gig humming along, Paul says he actually lives in, fear. He's haunted by a recurring nightmare that he goes on the air with no shirt and no script.
And it is so real. I wake up and I'm in just a cold sweat. And I don't have my shirt on, and over the PA system, Rudy, get to the set, Rudy, get to the set. And I can't find my scripts. And it is so real. It is worse than any nightmare that I have, because I can't find my scripts. And I have to go out there and I sit there without my shirt on and just kind of stare at the camera. So that is my motivation for coming in. I guarantee you right now in San Diego, there is not another sports director even at work. They don't roll in until 3 or 4 o'clock, but I get in early before anybody else does. I don't answer the phone, and I just like to have an idea of how the show is going to flow. I find it a lot easier to switch it once it's loaded than if it's unloaded. Back in 1989, I made a mistake on the air. It was a rookie mistake. I started, this was early in my career. I was one of the only guys in town that didn't have a story. And oddly enough, it was the day the media critic was watching all the channels, and so it came on the weekend. I had to read about what an idiot, and how I got my clock cleaned by the competition. And boy, I'll tell you what, that scar, it was so deep that I have vowed I will never, ever, ever be beat on a story. I might not have it first, but I certainly won't have it last.
Single in the Japan attempting to defend its WBC crown against South Korea. Korea's Young Kyu with the head first slide into the knee of Japan shortstop Hiroki Nakajima, shattering the headgear. Check it out. Check out the headgear. That's your play of the day, but Japan wins 5-3 Ichiro.
I mean, that car ride home on the nights when it really worked and people are laughing and everyone feels good, that's a great ride home. On the night when it all goes to hell, and it doesn't work, and you stutter and you kind of throw up on yourself. Man, that's you might as well be driving to Canada, because that ride just won't end, and then you stay up at nights just counting. You can't wait to get the next show under your belt, because that last show, you hate to mess up a Friday at 11 o'clock show, because then that is in your mind the whole weekend, and Monday never comes.
Mistakes sometimes do happen when you, take a chance at being different.
When you do things differently, you're open yourselves up to a lot of criticism. If you deviate from the accepted path of how things are done, people are going to criticize you. That's just the way it is. You dare to be different, you take the heat.
Paul has worked in several major markets, including Los Angeles and nationally at ESPN, but none fit quite like San Diego.
Maybe I should have just sucked it up, but it wasn't my nature. I mean, I thought I was hot shit back then. Maybe I should have sucked it up and just played by the rules. I could be pulling down $700K a year, living in LA and hanging out with Paris Hilton. I don't know. It just never. I'm a Wisconsin boy. I believe it or not, this dirty little row, sports row here, this is my home, and that nothing else matters, and that I live to work, and that my priorities are all. You're supposed to work to live. And I don't like to travel. I don't really, I like to do this. It's not a conducive job for relationships. The hours are long. Night hours are unconventional compared to when your kids are going to be playing sports, and when your wife. It takes a very understanding other half. I think the divorce rate or the failed relationship rate in this industry is significantly higher than any other industry. My advice would be to travel light, at least initially, and then find that special person who understands what you do and what you love to do.
If you're not put off by the demands of the news business, then Paul's got some advice to help you succeed.
You will be criticized even if you're the best. So if you can't handle criticism, and most kids of what are we now, Generation Y or whatever generation it is.
We missed one race. 5 horses died in it. You're driving out to Del Mar in your own penny.
My experience is that they don't like to be criticized, which is a very eye-opening experience, because I am not politically correct. I'm going to let you know, just like I was taught, it starts with criticism. You got to get the rhino skin going right away. That which takes a certain degree of self-confidence. Writing skills, speak the language and be able to write the language. Know what a noun and a verb and an adjective is. I mean, simple stuff that we supposedly learn in 3rd grade. I'm sorry, what I'm seeing, it's like I see writing samples. I thought, oh my God, this is, coming out of college, and it's not even high school level. So anybody who can write the language and speak it has, that's, at the end of the day, it's communication. And then, especially in this neck of the woods, having the command of a second language certainly only enhances your resume. If you can, even if you're a photographer, if you can speak Spanish, that helps you get hired. So if you're bilingual, great. But first thing, you have command of English, and then if you have a second language, great. I think a third thing is appearance. It's a cosmetic industry. It helps to be fit. It helps to have fashion sense, know what you look good in. I mean, I know it sounds trivial, but at the end of the day, a person, if a tie goes to the better looking person, then lastly, you gotta go after it. You gotta go someplace where you can make your mistakes, and it's best to make them away from people. I mean, I spent 4 years in Madison, and went to spend 4 years in Green Bay. Spent 2 years in Florida, spent another 2 years in Kansas City, and spent another 2 years in LA before I got to here, and now I've been here for 10 years. Basically what it is there's only about 100 mistakes you can make in this industry. In sportscasting, there's about 100 mistakes, and you have to make each one of them, and then you have to learn how to handle that mistake when it happens, when a tape runs out of order, or when a teleprompter goes down, or when you get mix minus in your IFB. Those things have to happen, and the first time it happens, you get the deer in the headlights thing, and it all goes. The second time you learn to take the IFB, throw it out, and continue on. And there's a finite number of things that can go wrong, and once you've encountered each one of those a couple dozen times, you can go out there and know, hey, there is nothing that can happen to me out there, barring the ceiling falling in on me. There's nothing there, and that's when you have it licked. you know that. Hey, what can happen? I've dealt with every little crisis. I've looked like a horse's ass about 100 times, and now I've learned how to handle it and turn it to my advantage.
So, with your mistakes behind you, you're now ready for that big interview.
First of all, know who you're talking to. Understand that they see you as a necessary evil, so keep your questions short. My advice is don't try to impress Brian Giles about what you know about baseball. Just ask him a simple question, and ask as many, ask 2 or 3 and then move on. Let them go. If you work quickly, they will appreciate that, and they won't. The next time they see you, they intuitively know this guy keeps me forever. This guy keeps me for 2 and 3. And always be polite, because at the end of the day, you need them more than they need you, and that feeling is very perceptible throughout the professional sports community.